What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL Rate My Team. Today I'm joined by a former Premier League winner with Blackburn Rovers and current co-host on a podcast for Fantasy 606 on BBC 5 Live. Chris Sutton, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Thanks for having me on. A little bit nervous because, this is an elite channel I feel I'm coming into. I do this podcast. I think it's the best fantasy league in the world, the podcast which we do an hour league, but I'm told I'm coming into real anorak territory coming on this.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to describe it. I would say a bit obsessive with fantasy. I mean, you're obviously in the football world a lot, obviously, but how do you find the fantasy? How do you find the podcast with the other lads?
Oh, I love the podcast. Strange mix. We've got Ali Bruce Ball, who's a 5 Live presenter, good commentator, Bruce, a variety of sports he can cover, knows his stuff inside out, brilliant at fantasy football. I don't like to say that. He's a little anorak. He does things like, he looks like 8-10 weeks in advance at fixtures. Who does that sort of thing?
That's the way you got to do it.
No, you don't have to do that. I've got a life. I've got kids and animals. I've got mouths to feed. And so, I've got gardening to do. But he looks in advance, and he's actually, we have a little league every season, the three of us, and he's won it the last 2 years. But we have an expert on the pod. Now, you'll know of this guy. You actually called him Dave before we came on air. It's Statman Dave. Now, he knows his stuff, but not with regards to fantasy football. I mean, he's supposed to be the expert on the pod and give out advice which people appreciate, and it often works the other way. He's not had a good couple of seasons, and in truth, we were thinking of binning him this season, myself and Bruce, but there was no one else really who wanted to take his place. Maybe the wages weren't good enough. I don't know what it was, but we did the first pod this morning actually, and Dave, once again, as he does at the start of the season, talked a good game.
Yeah, very good at talking. I mean, I did call him Dave. The worst thing is I don't even know him. I've never spoken to the guy. I've watched his YouTube stuff, so I'll have to remember the Statman bit at the start. Maybe he'll watch this and he'll never watch me again now.
He's very good at his YouTube stuff, isn't it? It some of his stuff is, he does know his stuff, just not. I think he gets spooked by little Ali Bruce Ball, the little dictator we call him. Bruce is all over him, talks him out of stuff. So yeah, but he's better than me, but that's not difficult. That's why I've come on here to get some tips.
I'll get you some tips, yeah,
from you, and then move up.
Yeah, we'll talk about your team in a minute. I mean, in terms of the podcast, it's on every Thursday at 9:30, I believe, or at least the first one is tomorrow, Thursday at 9:30. I'll put all the links below. Really quickly, actually, just a thought that's come into my head. Statman Dave, obviously he's big into his stats. Stats are probably getting bigger and bigger in football. I know I use them a lot for like my fantasy picks and stuff like that. How do you find them?
Yeah, I think there is a place for stats. I mean, XG was big last year, wasn't it? Expected goals. Now you've heard of the new one this season,
threat, is it?
Andy, haven't you? Expected threat. I mean, what is that? What is that? I mean, I'm not saying I'm super intelligent, but I mean, that's very difficult to understand. Expected threat.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, I got to be honest. I'll hold my hands up. I'm a big fan. Expected goals, expected assists. I don't mind them, but I've not really looked into expected threat yet. I think that's to cover like everything else, basically.
You've got to have a degree.
Yeah,
you've got to have a university degree.
Yeah, for fantasy football right now, at least, I think expected goals, expected assists are probably fine. Just on your point, Smigo, about having other stuff to do, I'll tell you now, all the fantasy obsessives, dog walks and gardening, that's when they listen to their podcast. That's when you need to get the old podcast in, get the headphones in, no?
Yeah, and I mean, look, I don't know how many fantasy podcasts you listen to, but ours is slightly laid back, but we have competitions in there. We have little head-to-head games, Sutton death, which doesn't mean the death of me at all. Just to be clear, little head-to-head games which we enjoy. Plenty of tongue-in-cheek, but there's a serious side because you fantasy boffins, you take your stuff seriously, don't you? So I mean, it does. It's very, very competitive. I'm a really bad loser, and the last couple of seasons in our league between the three of us, I've come hopelessly last. So I need your help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obsessed. Yeah, I mean, we would be checking it all the time. Like right up until the deadline, I'll be doing a stream. There'll be thousands of people watching. I mean, how do you find on the weekends? Are you checking it a lot? Do you find like if you're in like the studio, is everyone else checking their teams? How does that work?
Yeah. I mean, on occasions the last couple of seasons, I have missed the deadline and forgotten, which is an absolute disaster. But I mean, I'm not on my own managing my team. I've got an assistant manager who's my son, Oliver. We're the Clough and Taylor, the old Clough and Taylor double act, and it's good because we discuss a lot of things. But if something goes wrong, I've got somebody to blame.
That's perfect.
And he normally takes the brunt of the blame. As you'll see with my team and my squad, we've had a few arguments already this season. But I mean, last season, in fairness to me, I was doing so well, and you'll remember this because you'll have a photographic memory with fantasy football, I'm sure. But I had Harry Kane and Son in my team, and they'd gone away early on in the season and spanked Southampton. Absolutely, I think it was 5. Was it 5?
4 goals for Son, I think, and maybe 1. I think they got 5 returns between them, like each. Sorry, it was crazy.
But then did Son not? There was rumours that I might have this the wrong way around, but Son got Son got a hamstring injury or rumours of a hamstring injury, and then Ali Bruce Ball told me that he wasn't going to be fit. So I took Son out of the team, and then I took Kane out of the team, and I didn't put them back in on principle. I'm a man of principles because he stuffed me. I think they beat Manchester United 6-1, didn't they? And they went on an unbelievable. I can't remember which way round it was, but anyway, I took them out of the team. Had I left Kane and Son in my team, I would have finished top of that little league. I'm an unlucky guy.
That period at the start of last season for Kane and Son was ridiculous. Like they kept it wasn't just one of them; it was both of them. But you weren't the only one that did that. I think Mourinho kind of made it sound like he was out and wasn't going to be back, and then loads of people took him out, and then he smashed it. And then it was a bad time to be taking them out because they went on that run for weeks then. I didn't own him at all. I didn't even have him in my team, so that shows you what I know.
Really?
Yeah, not until I think it was like the 5th week. It's basically once they'd already had a lot of their goals. That's when I moved on them. But I still did all right last year, so I don't mind too much. Will we take a look at your team for this year?
Yeah. You can pick holes in it.
Okay, so this is the team. So so basically, if I don't like anything, you've got someone to blame, right? Your son.
Yeah. Well, I think I can guess your. Have you got your team as well?
I don't have it up, but people have seen it. People have seen my team.
Yeah, I like if I was to hazard a guess at your goalkeepers, I would say you've got Sanchez and Steele.
Not. I've actually got Ben Foster, but Sanchez.
Have you got Foster? Well, that's interesting because I've got Ben Foster and I've got Kasper Schmeichel. Now, I think Schmeichel is a brilliant goalkeeper. I think Leicester, first game up, they've got Wolves at home. I want to get off to a good start, clean sheet. I think Wolves lacked firepower. I mean, you might look at that and say short-termism. I love a short-termist approach at the start of the season. Ben Foster, though, I'm told on good authority, is a bad move because his price will drop. I've spent too much on my goalkeepers. I've been told.
Told by who? Because
Dave.
Okay, yeah,
Dave, as you call him.
Dave, yeah, that is a common narrative, I would say, in the community that they think his price, if he doesn't start the season, if it's Backman instead, there's definitely talk that his price might go down. But you're talking 0.1 at most. I don't think he's going to suddenly drop too much. So I don't think he's the worst, but you could change him if you wanted to. But a 4 million goalkeeper is decent. With Wolves,
Schmeichel's good, right?
Yeah. Schmeichel's a great goalkeeper, but I mean, you're right. I've got Sanchez. How did you know I was going to have him? Just because you've seen everyone's got him?
I just think, and this is the thing, is it not about differential? All you big hitters, all the fantasy players who have been playing for the last 10, 20 years, you guys know what you're doing, don't you? So, but you're all going to pick the same team.
We are, yeah.
You need people like me.
It does definitely not to mock, definitely not to mock. It does make it a bit more interesting. I mean, if you go and look at like YouTube and podcasts, most of us have got pretty similar teams. But you said something that was interesting about Wolves lacking firepower. How do you think Jimenez is going to come back this year? Obviously, had a big injury last year. It looks like he's possibly going to start the season.
I think it's big for them, isn't it? I mean, you look at Wolves over the last few seasons. Jimenez and I mean, Jota's at Liverpool now, of course, but they were brilliant together. Jimenez being their main striker. I think without him last season, Fabio Silva never really stepped up. William Jose, I think it was, they signed him, never really did anything. So, I mean, they struggled for goals. They fell away badly, actually. I mean, in some respects, them coming up to the Premier League, I think it's fair to say, I don't know, what you think, Andy, but they overachieved in some respects. A couple of seventh place finishes, and then last season they fell away. I'm a little bit worried about Wolves. I'm worried about them, and the onus being on Jimenez. They have some talented players, Podence and Neto, who I think I've certainly had Podence in my team. I think they're quite creative, although they didn't create much when I had them in the team. But no, the onus on Jimenez. So, let's hope, for his sake. I mean, he had a serious injury that he comes back and hits the form which he did previously.
Yeah, and obviously they've got Trincao now. I think it's Trincao is how you pronounce it, from Barcelona. So, yeah, we'll see. I think Leicester defence is pretty decent, and Schmeichel's a good price. Another player you've got in your team who's captain, this is massive differential territory, right? Timo Werner. You're a striker.
Why did you laugh then?
Just because last season in pre-season, I bigged this guy up so much. I was like, I have to have him in my team. Look at his goals in the Bundesliga. And he scored 6 goals last year. I think he did everything right. He got into the right position so many times. But, I mean, how do you think his confidence surely is shot? What do you think?
No. I think that Turbo Timo, this season, he will benefit from the season which he had last year in the Premier League. Okay, things didn't go well in terms of his goal scoring and his finishing, but how many opportunities does he create for himself? He's very good with assists as well. Lukaku's an interesting one going into the Chelsea team as well, but I think Werner, I think that he will score goals. I had him in my team for a large part of last season, and guess what? You know what happened? He didn't score goals, but as I say, I think that the last season he would have learned a lot from that, and he will get chances. They've got Palace first up. I don't know what Palace are going to do this season. They had Roy Hodgson, the old master, and you knew they were always going to stay in the Premier League under Roy, but with Patrick Vieira, is it going to be a different brand of football? Are they going to go toe-to-toe with Chelsea? And if they do, beware. Watch the Turbo. He could start the season with a hat-trick.
There's so many new signings for Palace as well, so none of us can really know how they're going to gel, right? It's going to be a tricky one. So I like that, but that is very short term. Have you looked? You don't like looking at fixtures. Have you looked at Chelsea's fixtures after that game?
Doesn't matter who Chelsea play. Who do they play after?
So they play Arsenal, then Liverpool.
Yeah, Arsenal.
Then Liverpool. Difficult.
Arsenal are hopeless. Liverpool will fancy the chances. High line. I think Chelsea beat them, didn't they? At Anfield. Was it last season? And Werner kept causing a threat going in behind. They beat them 1-0, I think. It may have been last season. I think it was. Yes, no, it definitely was. And so, yeah, look, Werner can create chances and score goals no matter which team he's playing. I'm really happy with Werner. Of course, I'd be looking at Harry Kane or Lukaku. But my reservation with Lukaku is, I don't know whether it's done now or it's going to get done, but he's not going to play. I very much doubt he'll play at the weekend.
Yeah,
maybe they'll chuck him in, but I very much doubt it. With Harry Kane, I mean, I suppose a lot of people are looking at Harry Kane thinking, well, if he moves to City, will would I put him in the team? I probably would. I think he'll be a great fit for City. But at this moment, how fit is he for Spurs? Will he play for Spurs? They play City, ironically, don't they? So, I mean, people will get them in the team eventually, but not at this moment in time, I suspect.
Yeah, I think that situation is just from a fantasy perspective anyway, and probably from a Spurs fan perspective, is quite a mess right now because Harry Kane, again, Spurs fixture's quite good after Man City, but is he going to play that game? When's he going to be available? Is he going to move? I mean, if he goes to City, he's almost must own, I think. I don't think you can really go without him because one of the things City get is quite a few penalties, and they haven't really got anyone that can score them. They seem to miss quite a few, even when Aguero was there. So I think Kane would. Well,
that's what a lot of you fantasy experts do as well, don't it? You whack penalty takers in. Salah,
definitely.
Fernandes, yeah.
You haven't got Fernandes. Where is he?
Yeah, well, we had him for a large part of last season. I've got this is my assistant Taylor has said Havertz. Havertz is on me. They were his words. Havertz is on me. Scored the winner in the Champions League final. Grew into the season a bit like Timo Werner. I think the last couple of games in pre-season, both have started. Ziyech has done well as well for Chelsea in pre-season. But what does that matter? I think he's going to play Havertz. Good opportunity against Palace. So, yeah, I'm going for Werner and Havertz.
Good start. And you've obviously Liverpool. I mean, everyone's got Salah. We don't really need to talk about him too much. I don't think. I think he's done it over the last 4 seasons. Nothing to say that he won't do it again. What about Jota? Does he worry you? Firmino, Mane? Lots of options, but not too many spots in the team.
Yeah. Do you know what we were thinking? Saka from Arsenal, who's a really talented player. But again, my assistant said you've got to trust me on Jota. Now, I like Jota. I do like him. I wouldn't have put him in my team. I think if you look at Mane and Firmino last season, their numbers for Liverpool, or certainly their performances, weren't what they should have been. And Jota actually did well. He got injured, didn't he? But he came in and actually when he played, he did pretty well. So that's a bit of a gamble. But maybe it's a gamble which will get me ahead. And they play Norwich City, don't they? First game, my beloved Norwich City. I hope Norwich spank Liverpool 4-0, but the likelihood is I think Liverpool may have too much for them. Who is the fixture secretary in the league as well?
This happened last time.
Norwich are in the Premier League. Yes, it's a disgrace. They should be sacked. And then Norwich have got Manchester City, the second game.
Oh, Norwich's fixture run is awful. The first 4 fixtures. Because I think Pukki is someone that everyone will be looking at. But Liverpool, then City, then Leicester, then Arsenal. It's tricky. It's a tricky run.
Yeah, maybe. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Norwich can catch them cold.
Well, the last time, you're right, the last time they came up, it was Liverpool opening game. Now, they did. I think it was 4-1, so they did lose.
4-0 at half-time, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they played really well. Yeah. I think everyone was really impressed. And then Pukki came into... Pukki got a hat-trick. I think it was in game week 2 against Newcastle, I think.
Newcastle, yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? Could get a goal. I mean, you've not got Pukki in your team. Not interested?
Not... How dare you? How dare you, Andy? Yes, I'm very interested. I like Pukki. Interesting, Norwich assigned this young American, Josh Sargent from Werder Bremen. So he's got competition for his place. They've also got Hugel up top, who's more of a physical type, but Pukki will play. The reservation I have with Pukki is that Emi Buendia, Norwich's best player in the Championship last season, really talented player, Championship Player of the Year. He's gone to Aston Villa. They had a wonderful relationship, telepathic at times, and Pukki was on the move. Buendia would slide the passes. It's up to the likes of Todd Cantwell. Really interesting to see how he'll do this season. I may get him in my team eventually, but he's got to really step up this season, I think, for Norwich. But Norwich won't change the way they played from last time in the Premier League. I think they will try and play an expansive game, but of course we know that has its dangers.
Yeah, especially against Liverpool. That's why you've got Salah, Jota and Trent in there. One player you just mentioned, Buendia.
I had Robertson in.
Yeah,
I had Robertson in initially. Injured.
Can I interest you in Tsimikas? Liverpool, he's the backup, 4 million.
Well, I got told, because I really hope you haven't looked at my bench, but I've got 57-year-old what's his name? I played with him at
I can't see it. It was cut off. There's a Leicester player, Spurs player, and a Burnley, I think.
Yeah, I've got. Phil Bardsley, 57-year-old Phil Bardsley in my team, and on the bench. And Tsimikas is the same money, isn't he?
He's 4 million. So, Bardsley's only 4 million, but I don't think he's going to play that often. I think it's Taylor and Loughton, isn't it? The fullback. So Tsimikas will play, but then here's the big thing: if you get him, you'd have to get rid of Jota or Salah or Trent, and I guess that's a no-go, right? Especially against Norwich.
I'm not going to do that. I'll have to talk with my accountant about that. But that seems impossible. But Bardsley, I mean, I played with him at Aston Villa. It was a long time ago. My last club, so he must be getting on a bit. But I think that was one of those we just had to get anyone in, really. With respect to Phil, of course.
Yeah,
lovely guy. Good career he's had.
Yeah, this is fantasy, but everyone loves a £4 million defender, so it's fine to have someone like that on your bench. Let me talk about a player you mentioned, right? Buendia, obviously gone to Villa now, so Norwich have lost him, and Villa have, in the process, have lost Grealish. Do you think they've signed enough players, good players, to be just as good, if not better, this season? How do you think their prospects are?
I like the work that Villa have done in the transfer market. I like Buendia. They got Bailey from Leverkusen, who's super quick. Danny Ings is a brilliant piece of business. Loved Danny Ings last season. Had him in my team. I also had Watkins in at times, but Watkins has picked up an injury, hasn't he? Always interested to see how Dean Smith would line up with the two of them in the team. He's got great options. I think Ings is sensational. I think he'll score goals. I've got him in my team as well. He's a natural finisher. I don't know what you think, Andy. I didn't think he'd end up at Villa. I didn't think he'd end up at Villa. All the talk was Tottenham, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, with social media these days, it's very difficult to not find out. Like, I mean, look at the Sancho transfer to Man United. We've known about that for about a year, and Danny Ings was just out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't hear anything about it, and suddenly there was a tweet saying he was there. In some ways, I feel like a little bit sorry for Watkins. I think he did such a good job, but I guess when you can get someone like Ings and you've got that 100 million or whatever it was from Grealish, then, like you said, it's a pretty good piece of business. And it's not, these days, obviously, you need a kind of decent backup as well. I think Watkins will still play. I think he might just play as a 2 or out wide. So Danny Ings is going to be the main man now, the main striker.
Yeah, but I think the issue with Villa was they didn't have strength and depth in that department. And now he's got that. And, Watkins getting injured, that sort of proves the point that, Dean Smith probably would have been looking around in previous seasons thinking, blimey, who are going to play a centre-forward who I can trust? Watkins has been sensational, though, hasn't he?
Really
the
impressed.
Business to bring him in from Brentford. Dean Smith obviously knew him well, but he did excellently last season.
Yeah, that's why I'm so interested in Tony, because I think Brentford have just developed so many good players and then obviously in a lot of ways sold him on. But, I think Watkins will still do a job. Talk to me about McGinn. How does he get in there? You think he's going to score enough goals for you?
How does McGinn get in there? This is another debatable one because I was told I should have gone Jack Harrison.
Yeah,
I was told I should have gone Stuart Dallas.
No, I don't think Dallas. Not Dallas.
Told. Dallas was sensational, wasn't he? Was he not one of the bargains last season? One of the best pieces of value. He
was, but he was listed as a defender last year, so we got all the clean sheets as well. Whereas this year he's listed as a midfielder, and in pre-season when Firpo's been out, he's been playing left back. So he's listed as a midfielder now, but he's playing left back. I don't think he's going to permanently play there. When Firpo is fit, he's going to go into midfield. But I mean, McGinn, the other name I'll put you, another ex-Brentford player. What about Benrahma? No Lingard this year at West Ham, so he could get a few more minutes. Any thoughts about him? He's the same price as McGinn.
Yeah, I've got thoughts about Benrahma. I'm not totally convinced that David Moyes is convinced with him. If you look at his record last season, I think David Moyes had reservations. I think he was off the bench a lot. Off the top of my head, I think he only got one Premier League goal. He scored a brilliant goal in pre-season against Brentford for West Ham. He scored a couple of goals. I think it was up at Celtic. I was doing the game. He's got good competition in that area, though, David Moyes. I'm not so sure they're going to get Jesse Lingard back, who was sensational.
No, I don't think so.
But I think I'm still not convinced that David Moyes is convinced with him. Big season for him, but I wouldn't bet on him. That's why I haven't got Benrahma in my team. I do think Jack Harrison is a good shout. I do think Jack Harrison is a really good shout. And Rafinha, I had him in my team at times last season. I like the way Leeds play. I think everybody does. And Leeds always feel like a team to me who are going to create chances and score goals. So getting Leeds players in the team is a good shout in my view. And guess what? I haven't got any in my team. I'll be discussing that with my assistant later.
Yeah, still a couple of days till the deadline. I mean, Jack Harrison's a great shout. Quick thing on Leeds, you often hear about kind of second season syndrome. New club comes up. We saw it at Sheffield United recently, did really well, and then kind of went down the second year. Do you think there's any chance of that happening for Leeds? To me, it just doesn't feel like something that's going to happen, but what do you think?
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I may be wrong, but I think that in the second half of last season, they improved defensively. They've brought a left back in as a Junior Firpo.
Yeah.
Am I right with that? Yeah. And they're going to go for it. And I mean, I think they're fascinating to watch. I love Bielsa sitting on his bucket. You know what they're going to do.
And you can't stop it.
It's just, how do you stop them? And they always have those runners in behind, whether it's Rafinha, Bamford's movement. Bamford's movement is exceptional. And do you know what? I will have him in my team at some stage. And there was a big decision. I had not that big a decision, but Ings or Bamford. I've got Antonio in my team up top, who I love, but he has a history of hamstring injuries. Yeah. But I like Antonio. But toss of a coin with Ings, Antonio, and Bamford.
I am a massive fan of Antonio to the point where there's it's almost like a catchphrase on this channel that if Antonio is fit, he's in my team. Simple as that. If he's got the fixtures, he's fit, he's in. It's just like you said, it's always that worry about the hamstrings. And they've got Europa League as well this year. So we'll see how they get on with that. Lastly, let's finish on one player, Chilwell. Chelsea defence, especially when Tuchel came in last year, was so good. I don't know if he's going to start game week 1 because I think he's going to play in the Super Cup. So that's one issue. You worried about that at all? Or do you think he's just season keeper?
Yeah, no, I really worry about that. I'm worried about a few of my players and whether they're going to start or not. Target as well, I've got at the back, whether he's going to start for Villa because they've signed Ashley Young. So I may make changes. I think I can get Tsimikas in for one of them, but I'll have to get one of the Liverpool players out. But I've got some work to do, obviously. But I like Chilwell. Didn't play in the Euros for England. So but I'm certainly with you. The rumours are he's not going to start at the weekend. So I'm probably going to have to get him out. I like Soyuncu. From Leicester. I've got him on my bench. And Leicester have problems at centre half. And because they have problems at centre half, Soyuncu, of course, is going to play all the time. He possibly would anyway. But another one, not that I'm giving you advice, Andy, or your viewers. Amati may be a good piece of business because I think he will play. I think he's pretty cheap and cheerful, but it looks like he'll play. Versatile player. He could be good this season. Well,
funnily, he's the same price as Barnsley, so you could put Amati in, play him instead of Chilwell, and then you've just got Chilwell from game week 2 onwards. So I got to be honest, I was.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, it's not too bad. When I was sent the team, I was wondering what I was going to see because I mean the teams you see from like you said, fantasy anorex like me are always kind of the same. I think it's a really good start. I think Chelsea, obviously, I don't like the fixtures, but that's just me, and I'm still not sure about McGinn. I think your call on Jack Harrison. I think that's a really good shout. I don't think there's too much other things that are crazy wrong. Just opinion after that.
So I'm just going to write that down. Harrison in. Yeah. And who was the other one?
Maybe Amati.
Amati. And Amati. Yeah.
I keep saying wrong. Everyone keeps calling Amati. I keep saying that wrong.
Amati.
Yeah. We all know who I mean. Yeah. But otherwise, looking good. I mean, Ings, Antonio. I'd love Werner to do well this season. I think 6 goals last year. He's a much better player than that. But yeah, team's looking good.
Just imagine if he does do well. And just imagine how many times you can play this clip of me backing Werner. But just imagine if he has a stinker. And then you can play the clip as well.
Yeah, he's a lot of money anyway, so you can always swap him to someone else. It's not the biggest issue. And plus Crystal Palace, I think that's a good fixture. Who knows?
Well, Kane's guaranteed goals, isn't he?
Yeah.
When Kane gets fit and Lukaku, I mean, that is that not going to be the one of the stories of this fantasy season? Kane or Lukaku? Can you get them both? I don't know. You get them both in. You probably can somehow eventually, but that's
later on in the season.
Yeah,
let's wait and see how they go on. But I think this season is going to be the season of changing those big players around. The Fernandes, the Salah, Lukaku maybe, Kane as well, especially if he goes to City. I think it's almost like a cheat code because they haven't really had I mean, Aguero has obviously been brilliant in the past, but they've not had that number 9 that can play week in, week out. That they've got Jesus, but he doesn't want to play him week in, week out. So I think Kane would just be a bit of a cheat code. We've been waiting for a number 9 at City that can take penalties. I mean, it'd just be crazy.
He rotates too much, doesn't he, Pep?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm worried about Chelsea players with rotation. But Pep, he's a nightmare. I mean, Pep should actually have a heart and look after the fantasy football community, shouldn't he?
Agreed. Yeah, no, Pep Roulette is a thing that's talked about a lot. That's the problem. I mean, you've got Grealish there. Mahrez has played a lot of pre-season minutes, but after the first few weeks, I just worry about who's going to keep starting. It's difficult. It's difficult to know.
I'm the same, yeah. What about Van Dijk? Tell me your thoughts on Van Dijk and Harry Maguire.
I'm big. I love Harry Maguire. I'm a Man, as a typical southwestern English person. I'm a Man United fan. Harry Maguire, I'm still waiting for him to be in my team and just score that goal from a corner. Well, I think do you know what frustrates me about him from an FPL point of view? He always gets the headers, but he never seems to get them on target. He does it for England, just doesn't seem to just score enough for Man United. But I like him, and I do think Van Dijk, to save a bit of money. I just don't know if he's going to start the season. I know he's had a few pre-season games. He was just out for so long. And I think Matip and Konate are fit as well. So I don't think there's any real reason to rush him back. So I think he might be one to wait. But Maguire and Luke Shaw, good picks. Good picks, I would say. Anyone else you're looking at?
Yeah, Luke Shaw, yeah. No. I think that was about it. Ivan Toney was one. I'm not so sure I'd take Pookie over Toney. I don't know what prices they are together.
Well, Pookie's cheaper.
I love the lead. Who's cheaper? Pookie.
Pookie's 6 million and Toney's 6.5. So FPL think that Toney is the better option. You don't agree?
Yeah, but they're just looking at championship goals, aren't they? He scored a load last season, and he's a penalty taker. But Pookie, Norwich have had a few issues with penalty, but Pookie may step up with the penalties again. He's missed a couple, but don't rule out Norwich. So I'm gonna filter their players in eventually.
I don't know if I am, I'll be honest. But you never know. Pookie is someone I would definitely keep an eye on, and especially if he's got penalties, like you say. I think that is something that us fantasy managers are looking for all the time, is penalty takers. Because it's just so easy, isn't it? You get a penalty, easy points. They don't get missed that often. So, yeah, but I think the team's looking good. I think definitely a team that could beat Statman Dave. Did you say you haven't beaten him yet?
Not over the course of it. So we have the head-to-head league as well, where I've destroyed him. I think Bruce is the annoying one. Little Bruce Ball. He knows everything. It'd be good, like in your league. I mean, I'll never tell him this, but he really knows his stuff, which is thoroughly disappointing. He knows everything. Like the game we have, Sutton Death, where you'll nominate a category Premier. Well, just for argument's sake. Bundesliga teams. He plays like every night with his kids and his family at tea. He plays these games, and then he comes onto the show and wipes the floor with us. That's not in the spirit, though, is it? Really?
I got to be honest. My level. I'm not that bad. I would say. You asked me a question about the Bundesliga, or I think I heard, was it European? I think it was Champions League and Europa League winners, and it would be straight over my head, to be honest. I think it was captains for Europa League. That's too far for me.
Yeah, that's tough.
I stick to the fantasy, and that's about it. But yeah, if you want to listen to Chris on Fantasy 606, BBC 5 Live. I'll get the link and put it in the description below if you want to go and listen to that. I think the first one is Thursday at 9:30.
Yeah, it's a good listen.
Yeah, very good. Chris, thank you for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'd love to come back and you to tear a strip off me for getting most of my picks wrong. I'm happy to do that. You guys can laugh at me. That's fine.
Well, we'll do it in a few weeks. Let's see how you get on. Let's see if Werner comes in, we'll get you back on. You can chat about that. If you have enjoyed that, do give it a like and hit that subscribe button. We're back tomorrow, more videos. Thanks for watching and good luck this season.